Hey everyone, welcome to More Than Meets These Guys. This podcast is a journey through Transformers from the beginning of the animated series, with two old friends coming at it from different perspectives. Together, we will go episode by episode with the occasional extra to look at how the show holds up or if it's a trap of nostalgia. We'll be looking at all things involved in the episode, whether there were real world factors that crept into the writing or if the episode is typical afternoon cartoon fodder. Hey everyone, I'm Evan. I'm a lifelong fan who's familiar with all aspects of the franchise and the fandom, while Ed is familiar with Transformers, but it was really not something he got into when he was younger. So thanks everyone for joining us again this week. Ed, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. So this weekend, I don't usually like to have anything topical on these shows, like to have for it to be an evergreen product. However, this weekend was WrestleMania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do you WrestleMania, Evan?
I haven't in a long time. I noticed our mutual friend Jeremy is getting into it, which is kind of cool. He's
Yeah,
all in. But I
yeah.
mean, when I was younger, I mean, I loved watching 80s wrestling was as big as cartoons. I mean,
Age
even
wrestling
maybe
was
bigger.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was when I got into wrestling.
WWF.
Was in the 80s in the the Hulkamania era, as we talked about before with the Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling cartoon and all that. But
Yes, we did.
yeah, that was a fun one. Do you have any favorite wrestlers when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I mean, honestly, like everyone else, I really liked Hulk Hogan. Loved watching The Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
I I had a love hate thing with Andre the Giant. Now I like him as a person, but as you know, when I was growing up, he was sometimes a heel, sometimes he's an ally. You kind of didn't know where he was going to come out, but he was like a almost like a I don't say a reluctant ally, but he was one of those guys that kind of was on the outside with this big one shoulder unitard thing he wore. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I loved I was watching the $1 Million Man come out there and just flinging out dollar bills.
Yeah.
That was
Throwing the money out. Throwing the
it was
money
good
out. Hey,
stuff, man.
so on one of those things where where he would bring somebody up, like a kid from the crowd, and be like, "Hey, kid, if you can dribble this basketball 10 times, I'll give you $100." And then every time at like 9, like Virgil would knock it away, so he would never pay the kid $100 or whatever. One of those kids was actually Rob Van Dam, the wrestler Rob Van Dam.
Really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
It's like I'm gonna get my revenge on you, $1 Million Man.
Right.
He
I think
started
he was
off
the
as
basketball kid. I think he was the one that had to dribble the basketball 10
mm,
times or something like that.
mm,
But yeah,
that sounds right. That's
yeah.
great though. God, I loved heels. Heels were just they were almost like more fun. They were like they were the heel in the way of like I don't know, it's like a carnival barker kind of heel. They were bigger than life. That's why whenever I see, I guess, like say at Pensacon, being like the Honky Tonk Man or Hacksaw Jim Duggan, man, one of my all-time favorite entrances could be the Bushwhackers. Or
Oh
the best
yeah.
thing. Oh my god.
One of those guys just died just now, actually. Like they just it was within the last hour that I think it was
Oh,
Butch. I
hey,
think passed away. Yeah.
poor Bushwhacker up for him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love those guys. Yeah, Hillbilly Jim was always
Oh
a big
man.
favorite of mine. I was real bummed out when because that guy never won any matches though. He was like this big giant dude that was like they pushed him as a big guy, but I don't think I ever saw him win.
How about Junkyard Dog? I love seeing the chains around him and stuff. That's the best. I love that
JYD
stuff.
was so cool, and what's funny every now and then I'll go back and watch some old wrestling, and I'm like,
Mhm.
man, he was terrible. He was just awful in the ring, and it's probably
He was.
just because I watch a lot of like Japanese and Mexican wrestling and like independent wrestling now, and so I watch it with eyes that watch these crazy high work rate matches. And I go back and see Junkyard Dog just like doing a headbutt and a punch, and then like it's like a 3-minute match, and the crowd's going out of their minds for him, but it's just like
And
he didn't
the
do anything. He didn't
he's
do anything.
was he like wrestled against jobbers or something? Was it like mid?
I mean, that was the thing is like, people kind of forget this, but back when, when we were kids and you watch like WWF Superstars and,
Mhm.
on Saturday mornings or whatever, like most of that was just jobber matches. And,
Yeah, it was like
yeah,
in the
I mean, you
round,
didn't get to see big
Steve.
matches. What's that?
Say in the round, Steve coming out,
Right. Yeah.
Junkyard Dog.
Yeah. It was like Brooklyn Brawler or somebody, but
Oh
it was like,
yeah.
those were the matches you saw on TV and you had to wait for like Saturday night's main event, or like a pay-per-view, or like when the event would come to your town, you had to pay to see the good matches, was how it was back then.
I'll tell you, man. During the '90s, I had a big resurgence of it going up. It was a WCW. We had the you had the oh God, what are the New World Order stuff?
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was very like Crow, like the Crow is like very like black and like
Yeah,
silver
Sting,
and
yes.
white. And then of course you had Sting come out dressed like the Crow with the trench coat. But then it was
Yeah.
like it was also very like emo soap opera.
Oh no, it totally was. It totally was. But there were a lot of good matches in WCW, because
Oh
you
yeah.
had the main event was always silly. It was always like, like
Oh
Hulk
yeah.
Hogan would come in, and like there'd be like people throwing trash in the ring, and it was just like a big run-in fest. But like on the undercard, it was always like Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Chris Jericho, or
Mm,
like Dean Malenko and like versus Eddie Guerrero, or like Chris Benoit, or like Saturn, or these guys that were like putting on these amazing matches.
mhm.
But yeah, I didn't watch WrestleMania this weekend because I don't care for the WWE. But I heard they just got sold today, though. They got bought out by the company that owns the UFC today.
Yeah. I'm sure what's his face? The guy that the heel, the owner is gonna
Vince
make
McMahon.
this a man, yes. I just know his face. I know he's gonna probably rake in a big old paycheck, and all those wrestlers who there are not gonna make anything off of
Oh,
it.
they're not getting anything. Yeah.
No, because Vince McMahon is like that. He is an actual heel in real life.
Yeah, yeah, accurate.
Yeah,
So
he's a terrible person. So I am glad it's going to UFC. Hopefully, things end up better for them.
I don't know, man. Because Vince McMahon is apparently higher in the corporate structure than even Dana White is. So like
Really?
Dana White, yeah. They're spinning a separate company off to that. It's going to be over both companies, over UFC and over WWE. Dana White is going to remain in charge of the UFC, but Vince McMahon has a position in the actual holding well, I think they're going to be called like TKO or something like that. He has a corporate position in that, so he's technically above Dana White
Uh,
in the corporate hierarchy. But
Gotta wonder if he's doing this as a response to like ECW and all the other wrestling like things building up.
dude, no idea. I think he's just getting old and he wants to cash in before he
Oh,
dies, is the thing. And he's also a dude that's very really wants to be old money, but he's new money, and the old money people don't like him because he's new money, and he made his money off of wrestling, and
yeah.
not off of a legitimate venture like inheriting it from your parents.
I love his terrible acting though. There was a I was watching somehow got on this clip of watching. He was sitting at a desk in the middle of the ring, in the middle of an arena, and this girl comes up. I don't know who it was because I don't know the women wrestlers. She comes up there, starts doing this like striptease dance, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Whoa!" His big pitted chin. He's doing the big like googly eyes, like, "Wow, wow!" He falls back in his chair, picks his chair back up, sits there, and like, "Come on, dude."
Yeah,
It's so bad acting is funny.
sounds about right. It sounds about
Yeah.
par for the course for Vince. But changing gears though,
Oh, it's
let's talk
changing.
about Transformers.
Oh man.
Oh, the return
this,
of the Segway. Oh yeah.
oh yes. So this was this was an episode.
This is an episode. It was
That's all I can say about it.
it was 22 minutes long. That was about what was what it was about.
Yeah, this is one of those fun episodes that everyone just kind of like points out how bad it is. And I'll tell you, man, at the beginning of this episode, it starts off with a bang, and episode starts just brutal. There are these guys who apparently are in Sparkplug's union because they have the same clothes, and they
No, they
strut
don't.
gold.
No, they don't. They don't have the right boots.
Oh, I didn't notice. I know they
They
have the
have
hard
yellow
hat, they have the
boots.
shirt. The one guy has a shirt unbuttoned all the time because he's got to show off that he's the only guy in shape.
Oh, Magnum PI.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, there's no hair in the chest, man. The Magnum PI has like the
Yeah, he had a lot of hair. That's right. Yeah,
hair
he had the
thing
Magnum
going
PI
on.
mustache though. He had like it was like a World War I aviator mustache.
He gave up the ace life so he could dig for gold in the
To be
desert.
gold,
He
as
was
these guys were
struck
saying.
gold, and yeah, man. As soon as they strike gold, and apparently this mine that no one else knows about in the middle of the desert, the
Well, they found a whole lot of it at one time too. That was a whole cart full of gold. That was
it's all mined and everything.
like 500 pounds of gold. How much is that's like billions of dollars of gold these guys find in one trip. And
Yeah,
like,
and they were rolling out on a Minecraft cart. Like no one uses those kind of cars, man. We're not like in the prospecting days. They would have had like something else.
I
But
don't
anyway.
know. It's Temple of Doom, man. That's how you get out. That's how you get away from the thuggies. On that thing.
They own I really I wanted always to have a roller coaster just like that.
And you're like, no, this would be really uncomfortable.
Oh, terrible. But anyway, so yeah, they're the Seekers show up and start shooting them up.
They just come out of nowhere for no reason. Why are they attacking them?
They I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I was trying to find a reason, like maybe gold is going to be the MacGuffin of the episode. No,
it wasn't. It wasn't at all. They showed up to blow these guys up. And what was also funny is that this is the only time that we see any humans in this entire episode.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was.
Where is Sparkplug? Where is Spike?
Where's anybody?
Yeah. Are they? Is he like in school? Is he taking classes right now? Is he at the community college?
No idea. So yeah, there's like a schlub. One guy's like an out of shape slub, and he looks like a truck driver. And then there's Magnum PI, and there's one other guy.
The guy has the Mario hair and mustache stuff. He gets away to go radio for help. Before that though, Megatron does a hero landing. He just comes out of the sun, almost lands in the middle of him, and Starscream's like, "Oh, we got away. I'm going to shoot him." Like, no. Let him call for help first.
Yeah, let him call for help. Yeah, it was just a trap to get the Autobots here. But the thing is, so Soundwave was directing this whole thing apparently, and he's super efficient. He's like a German. Dude, it's like everything is down to the second, and everyone's obeying the orders. Everything goes like it's supposed to go. Ooh. He has the tapes do stuff, the jets do stuff. This is great. But
what then German are we talking about?
I mean, just German in general, superior German engineering.
Oh, well, okay. I'm sorry. I thought there was some subterfuge to what you're saying. I didn't know.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not disparaging the Germans. I'm drinking a German wine at the moment, and I also drive a German automobile. So I don't disparage the Germans.
That's good, man. That's fantastic. Good job.
I'm also a big fan of Kraftwerk. If we want to.
I too like Alsatian wines, rather on the French-German border. Big contested territory. But anyway,
that's a touchy subject, man.
So
but Megatron shows up.
Yeah.
And Megatron shows up out of nowhere after Soundwave's been directing this whole thing, and he just shows up and he's all like, "Oh, good!" Like he was like 2 seconds away.
Yeah,
like
they're just hanging out.
Like why wasn't he there leading the whole thing?
I have a theory about this.
Okay,
I think he wants to. You ever have a boss who wants to give you a little rope to see how well you work and see like what you can do, what you're good at, what you're bad at. I've had bosses like that in the past. So I almost feel like he's kind of waiting on like, okay, what's Soundwave going to do? He looks at Soundwave and goes, "Man, that's efficiency. I like that guy. He's going to stay my right hand guy." He looks at Starscream like, "No, he's going to kill someone. We need all these guys. I got to step in right now." That's what I think happened. 100%.
I don't know, because I mean, tentatively Starscream is the second in command, but but Megatron comes out and he looks at Soundwave and he looks at Egyptian Lover and he's like, cold, calculating, German. I'm going with him. This is my guy.
Efficiency.
It's like a brawn. He's great.
Yeah. No wasted words.
No, man.
No, it's succinct. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so this was just like a big stuff gets blown up and we get all kinds of cool. We get the tapes doing stuff. That was cool.
Yeah, he calls him out by name and tells him to return, which doesn't usually do that. He's like, "Hey, okay, you guys can go out. Okay, now come back in." So the guy calls for help, and there is an alarm going off in Teletran 1. Prime sounds the alarm, and it's all the Autobots assemble at once. And dude, they are running, and Gears is just, he doesn't care. He's like, he's over this. He's
real sad.
Yeah, he's just like, he is instantly became the he's the Wilford Brimley of the Autobots. He's like, "Yeah, all you young kids, all right, you go run. I'm just gonna take my time. They're all gonna be there in the end, and don't worry about it. I'll get there." But he's like basically the old crabby curmudgeon already. He's established that right off. One thing I'm learning about the Autobots, the original cast here, they're a bunch of old curmudgeons. I mean, a few of them, they're a little saucy still, man. Trailbreaker's got the Christopher Christopherson thing going on. He'll go in there, he'll throw some punches. Ironhide, he's thinking he's retire. And Gears just doesn't care. He's just like, man, whatever. Just roll me out in front of the battle. I'll go in there.
Well, like in the last episode, Optimus Prime was mad about jokes.
Yeah, it was.
Like these guys are opposed to fun. They don't like anything.
See, they make me like that Decepticons more and more every week, because they're maybe infighting, but they're fun. They're entertaining to watch.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. So,
so this whole thing's going on. They roll out to this mine, and who knows where the mine is at.
But hold on though. Oh. So you and I talking about the Autobots doing stuff took longer than them actually doing things, them actually getting ready to go. Because this was just like a breakneck thing here. It was like Gears was sad, and Optimus Prime's like, well, but transform, roll out, let's go.
And Ironhide gives him crap in the hallway. There's like this never-ending hallway that they're walking down. It's this constantly curving hallway.
There's a lot of hallways.
It's like, man, maintenance later, action now.
Who did a flip over him? Didn't Bumblebee do a flip over him?
Yeah, he grabbed him and did a flip over him. They're treating Gears already like he's the grumpy old guy. And he is. It's like he's reinforcing their stereotypes about him. They're ageist.
They're all 4 million years old at minimum.
Yeah.
Well, I'm only 4,020 years old, so like you're 4,100 years old.
So I think this is one of those episodes that that once again the show is bad about this. Show's out of order because you don't have any of the new Autobots there. They're the old cast still. I think this is supposed to be earlier in the season.
Like earlier, like season 1, like because this is like the basic. This is like the when you first got like a Transformer, it only had like, you look on the back of the box, there's only like 6 dudes on there. Like this is that
catalog, and you have like 3 dudes in this picture, 1 dude in this picture, 2 in this picture. That was how the old catalog was.
But, or like Star Wars, like 12 back figures, and it was just like
exactly.
Jawa.
I didn't know it was the term for it. That's good to know. Or how about the GI Joe figures that had like the 2 Cobra troopers and like
that was it.
I guess the original 4 GI Joes.
I think there were like 8.
Oh, there were 8. Okay, there was like
something
Zap.
Like that. There were a few, but there was only 2. It was only 2. Yeah, there was Cobra Trooper and Cobra Officer, and you had to mail off for Cobra Commander.
Yeah, at first, initially. You did.
Yeah, and they all had straight arms too. They were the bad straight arm versions.
That's right. Before they had the elbows. Ooh, God, that's okay. Old dick guys talking about toys. All right, so they eventually go. Like you said, we've talked longer than it took the Autobots to get together. And Gears like elbows his way into the front. Like he's like, I'm old. I'm gonna get up front, listen to what's going on because he can't see. His eyesight's probably bad. He's complaining about his things not working right. He's talking about lubing his cables or something. I don't know if he's got one of those O-rings like GI Joe figures have inside of him or something.
He's complaining about all of his parts.
Yeah.
This is like me in the morning when I wake up and like my back and my knees are cracking. Like
this morning. I got a phone call at 6:30 from a truck driver. I'm going, dude, not now. That was me this morning.
So they go in attack, and they just rush right in. They're just like, there they are. Let's fight, and they go into a giant fight. There's no pretense of a story here at all. It was just like kill on sight.
I love this though because they show up and Optimus does the shh symbol, and then clunk 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 clunk, and Ironhide's like gives them like, okay, boss, clunk 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 clunk, and then they attack, and they. It was like, yo, we're real stealthy guys. Clink, clink, clink. They jump in on it once, start attacking, and there's
a big chaos. There's a big chaos battle. It's just dudes shooting at stuff. But like eventually, like the Decepticons leave and they steal Gears.
Yeah. So before this happens,
why do they want Gears? Like this dude is the Brooklyn Brawler. This dude's the jobber of the Transformers. This dude is awful. He's the worst Autobot. I'm gonna go ahead and say he's the worst Autobot.
He really is.
No one cares about him. He's a bad toy, isn't he? Isn't he a mini?
He's a mini bot, like Brawn, like Bumblebee, like Cliff Jumper. Yeah, it's not very exciting.
He didn't even have any character or any personality or anything like that. It's not like he's like Bumblebee's got personality goes a long way.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's a VW bug, man. VW bug already has enough personality to begin with.
Exactly.
But so Megatron's master plan was to transform and have Soundwave shoot the edge of the cage, which I love that. Like, oh, And then like the humans ran out, and Optimus goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! We can't shoot anything because we might hit them." Like they're running away. I
Yeah,
don't know
those
what
dudes
you're
those
talking
dudes
about.
are skipping out of there.
Like Optimus Prime uses every reason to not shoot. Like, no, no, no. We were shooting a lot a second ago, but now that they're free, we can't shoot anymore. Like he could have shot them in the cage the entire time.
I
But
don't know, man. Maybe they should have sent Spike in there, and then they could have shot at anybody. They could have had weapons free.
yeah, so yeah, the whole thing of Megatron's plan was to still steal or kidnap Wilford Brimley, and he takes him back to this like home placement where it's whole master setup, and he has he says, well, let me see, go dig in your diodes and defunct. I feel like he said go F yourself. Is what
Basically,
he
yeah.
essentially said, yeah. So then he has Starscream shooting with his null ray,
The null ray, yeah.
and then he takes his Atari cartridge out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, yanked it right out. But he
Well,
was totally fine.
yeah,
He just but it made him nice.
really,
It was like it was his curmudgeon circuit. It was
apparently that's the only way you can steal
like
soul. Megatron wanted to aggressively get solar power, so he had to take a curmudgeon circuit out of Gears. Which apparently, okay, I take that back. As I wrote down an Atari cartridge, but later in the episode, he's holding. I think like Optimus Prime or someone gets it out, and he's holding a cassette.
it's like a BetaMax.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly
Yeah.
like a Betamax. Like apparently, Gears was so pissed off because he couldn't find any other adaptable tapes because his Betamax, and we got rid of that. So yeah, he was just all pissed all the time.
He's just mad because he's a dead format. It's what's
Yeah,
going
exactly.
on.
You are HD DVD.
It's technically superior though because there's longer recording time and higher
By
quality.
definition, a Betamax. Like, yeah, well, you lost.
We'll go rent one.
Exactly.
Go rent a Star War on Betamax.
I had a friend when I was real little. I know he doesn't listen to the show, so I have no problem saying this. He was all excited because he had a Betamax. I stayed the night when they was in high school. He's like, he's so excited because he shared with me he taped some softcore stuff off of like Showtime at night on his Betamax, and no one else could see it in the house because he had the only Betamax in the house. So he put it on when I stayed the night, and like it was really awkward.
It was.
It's like, dude,
my best friend had a Betamax and a satellite, and like the old school satellite dish, like the one that took up your entire backyard.
Yes.
So like
my neighbor had
he
that.
got like a crazy like anime feed. So he would always have like he would record like the Speed Racer, and that's where he first saw like Bubblegum Crisis and a lot of that Black Magic M66 and a lot of that kind of stuff, Venus Wars and that kind of stuff. It was
I love that animation style. I cannot remember the guy's style. That is the Black Magic M66 and Appleseed. That animator.
That's Masamune Shiro, I believe. Is
Hero, yes, Masamune Shiro. I love that style. Anyway,
Me too.
yeah.
We should do a subdivisions on Appleseed.
Yeah, I would gladly watch more of Black Magic and Appleseed and all that. Anyways, so yeah, apparently his Betamax, it was what was going to drive Megatron's aggressive solar power stealing. And
well, here goes Megatron again on the green energy. So he's back to being forward thinking after a brief stint of not being forward thinking.
he is, but he's too aggressive because apparently, we get this later in the episode. According to Optimus Prime, it's only going to last 2 hours and the sun's going to explode. I don't know how he got that much energy out of the sun.
That's a lot of energy.
Dude,
how do you make it explode? You feed him energy back to the sun?
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's going to collapse and become it's not a white dwarf. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a white dwarf when it collapses on itself without becoming a black hole.
I don't know, man.
Anyway, so yeah, we get a great couple scenes or 3 scenes of different countries around the world experiencing seismic activity. And the way we know, what's that?
Something's going on. Like,
yeah,
it's like, oh no, every major landmark, something's going on. I don't know what it is.
You know how we know that it's in different countries? Because they use every touristy landmark. They go to there's the Leaning Tower.
Yes.
So we're in Italy.
Yes.
There's the Eiffel Tower. Oh, there's the Statue of Liberty. So we know we're in America now.
Yeah.
So there's this great, just like 3 scenes, like everyone's going, ah. and there's seismic activity because the sun's shooting out solar flares, which I don't understand that, but maybe I'm not that
Dude, I'm no,
fuzzy.
yeah, this one made no sense to me.
Yeah. So I gotta say, Gears is the most off-putting happy guy.
Dude, okay, so like I'm a big fan of fantasy movies, and
Mhm.
as I know you are, we've talked about this in the
Oh
past.
yeah.
But fantasy movies have gone through like a few eras of how they make them, like like I feel like the modern ones, everything post like Lord of the Rings, not so much Lord of the Rings itself, but everything that came after Lord of the Rings got real gritty, like
Yeah.
everybody's like earth tones, like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Everyone's very dirty in Game of Thrones, and they're also very pretty in Game of Thrones. Everyone's pretty in Game of Thrones, for the most part. But so there's that. But then there was like in the 80s, and the 80s, everything was kind of was this everybody was like shiny, and it was like sword and sorcery. There was like Conan the Barbarian, and the Barbarian Brothers, and
Oh
Sword and the
god.
Sorcerer, Dragon
Love that.
Slayer. Everyone was, it was big, it was big muscle wrestler looking dudes, and then like in the 90s it was it was like a weird in between thing in the 90s where it was transitioning from those. But fantasy prior to the 80s though had this weird vibe. It had this late 60s and 70s vibe where there was a lot of if you look at like art from this era, like everyone drew a lot of mushrooms in here, and everybody and all the characters had big exaggerated features and this kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And it was what I call hippy dippy fantasy. If you've ever seen the Rankin Bass Lord of the Rings cartoon,
Oh yeah.
that's hippy dippy fantasy.
Mhm.
And what Ralph Bakshi's Wizards is
I was
very
gonna
hippie,
bring up Wizards, yeah.
a very good movie. I like
Yeah.
Wizards, but it's very hippy dippy fantasy.
Mhm.
But Gears sounds like a dude from a hippy dippy fantasy
He
cartoon.
totally does.
He sounds like he's from 1978.
Man, okay.
And I hate, well, I don't hate it. I don't know, man. He looks like he should be on the like I don't know. Like I feel like the soundtrack to this would have been illustrated by Roger Dean on the cover or something like that.
I gotta give a shout out to our friend JB. He loves probably Kroll. That is this weird transition from hippy dippy fantasy to like the 80s fantasy. It's weird. The main character, the prince, I can't remember his name right now. He is always not dirty. He is the cleanest main hero of any. He looks like his clothes are always really nicely pressed. He looks clean all the time. Everyone else around him is dirty. Everyone else around him is dirty.
There were a lot of, you're absolutely right.
I don't know
What I think, I think like the epitome and like the end of hippy dippy fantasy was
that.
Time Bandits.
Oh, I love Tom Hanks though.
So do I. So do I. But it definitely draws on that
Oh yeah.
weirdo like 70s aesthetic, which I
Yeah,
think a
it
lot of
does.
Terry Gilliam movies do. But
It really does. Yeah, they
yeah.
do. I which, yeah, I need to go back and watch Brazil now as an adult. 'Cause I never understood why people loved it so much, but I feel like I need to watch it again as an adult now. Maybe I'll see something different than I didn't see before. That's one of those movies that everyone loves that I just didn't understand. I didn't understand
Yeah.
love. I
Yeah,
don't.
no, I had this. Well, yeah, the first time I watched it, I had no idea what was going on. It was
Yeah.
much like the first time I watched Blade Runner when I was 17. I was like,
Oh, me
why
too.
are
But no,
people
I love
talking?
it so
Why are
much.
people saying this is so good? And then
Oh,
then something happens in your brain and you get it, and you're like, oh, now yeah, now I get it.
yeah, dude. I want to watch it
Speaking of
again
things that I
now.
don't get though, Transformers.
Anyways, yeah, back on topic.
That was a long digression. That was a
Yeah,
digression,
it
man.
was, man. Yeah, as we do. This is actually everyone listening. This is what Ed and I usually do. We get digress some weird thing and reminisce about stuff. So why is Gears putting Energon cubes in an easy bake oven?
You got
He
to make the energon, man. You can't just put raw solar power into an energon
so
cube. You got to.
you can't hold cubes up to a lava pit anymore, or up to like the sun and like gather all the energy anymore. It doesn't have these are like Energon cubes 1.0 again. They
This the old style. Yeah. Look, man, Soundwave is real busy, man. He's got 4 kids that he has to manage constantly. And
Yes.
so, and I think in a few episodes he's going to get some more. I think he's got 2 more kids coming up, doesn't he?
Oh,
Doesn't he have
not for a
Bat coming up?
while. No, I think yeah, season. It's gonna be the movie in season 3. But yes, he gets some more kids. So yeah,
Okay.
you're right. There's
It's
a
hard
whole.
being a single dad from what I hear. I don't know.
It was really hard. Yeah.
It's
but
hard when I just take my son out by myself. There's other I have to corral him.
it's work.
It is work.
So Optimus Prime comes out and announces a Deltran 1 has confirmed my fears. Someone has tapped into the sun's energy. I'm like, really, dude? The giant green energy thing going to the sun didn't tell you that? I mean, seriously, you can look out in the sky. Oh, yeah, there's big green energy thing coming from the sun down to apparently geographic center of Africa. How they got to that? Okay, so Megatron is in the geographic. They point this out too. It's very particular in the geographic
The
center of
geographical
Africa.
center of Africa, right?
Yeah. So
The Autobots. What do the Autobots do?
they
They drive there.
drive there.
And
They
they
have
even
2
say
hours.
that we have to get this done in 2 hours.
They
So they
drive.
drove from Oregon to Africa, to this geographical center of Africa in 2 hours. These guys are real fast. Like,
I don't care if you are an alien life form. You are a VW bug. You are not. He's an 18-wheeler, man. I know those things have those governors. He's not going over 70. That's just it. He's not going over 70. I don't care if that trailer is loaded down or not. He's not getting there in 2 hours. But they are.
But they make it though. Hey, speaking of geographical centers of Africa, do you know what the geographical center of the contiguous United States is?
Wasn't it Kansas?
It is in Kansas. It's Lebanon, Kansas.
Lebanon,
And,
Oh, you know what? I did know that only
yeah.
because of American Gods.
Yeah, you are correct. You know how many people live in Lebanon, Kansas?
How many?
178 people live in Lebanon, Kansas.
It's probably really weird being there, man, because it's like you probably stand on the side that's like you don't know you're imbalanced. So it's probably just a certain person to live there.
But here's the thing though. For a long time, I didn't know that it was Lebanon, Kansas. I thought that the geographical center of the United States was Stull, Kansas. Actually, Stull, Stull, Kansas. Yes, because the band Urge Overkill made an album called Stull back in like 1992 or something like that.
Oh my god, I haven't thought of that band in years.
They're worth a listen. Definitely go back to like. To Stoll's good. Supersonic Storybook is good.
All right.
But anyway, they wrote an album about or like an EP rather, about the town of Stull, and because Stull is also rumored to be a cursed town, and that it has a gate to hell there, and that there's a devil worshippers that live there, and they run it in secret, and they summon the devil, like they open this gate to hell on like a weekly basis or something like that. So
I mean,
look into it; it's real cool.
Why else would you live in Kansas? I mean, no hate to anyone who lives in Kansas. I live in East Central Alabama right now, so you know.
Yeah, man.
Everyone's got to live somewhere.
Yeah, just don't live in Stull, because you might.
What if I want to meet like Satanists? I want to like have a gate to hell. It's probably a good place to live, right?
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's like like green energy coming out of there.
Maybe they have a really good Dollar General there. Dollar General.
I thought you were about to say they have a really good deli there, and I was like, man, if they had a good
deli there, it's kosher deli. Frank runs
the
place. Yeah,
Stull. Yeah, man, I like it.
Stull's finest. Anyway,
so Jazz, so the Autobots are busting up into the center of Africa, but like, so Optimus Prime is driving, he's leading the convoy, yes. But like Jazz and Sunstreaker are like on the running boards, like the 1920s gangsters. Like,
dude, I love it. That was the best scene. They're shooting, they're like vaporizing trees in front of them in this jungle in Africa.
Oh man, this is so cool.
Toto would be so upset, but they were like sitting on the sides, just like bam, 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 and it was the best thing ever. And I don't understand why that was there. Maybe they needed more time for Megatron to conduct his master plan, or maybe they got there too fast, so the 2 hours wasn't cutting in close enough. So like, well, we got to hold up the Autobots a little longer, so let's make them shoot their way through the jungle. So yeah, Jazz stopped because of weeds is what I put down, but whatever. There's this great line. Megatron's making Gears do things. He's basically being a slave. He goes, "I should be angry at you, Megatron. You're a son of a retreat." Yeah. What?
Yeah, this was
retread. I don't know. something like that. I didn't have the I need to start putting the subtitles on like you do, because it would make so much more sense.
Oh, the subtitles are they're even better when they're wrong. So,
Yeah, I know, Burrito Rumba.
oh
Um,
God. So yeah, speaking of something to eat though, somebody talks about a force field surprise, which sounds like a sci-fi dessert. That sounds like something you would that's something that you would like you would eat in Star Trek.
yeah, it actually does. I'm 10 forward. Um, but dude, Starscream is dumb again. He doesn't understand science once again. He like goes to be a brilliant scientist to not understanding how like
Yep.
things work. So he gets pissed off at Gears because Gears talk back to Megatron. So he shoots, and Megatron tries to stop him. He shoots something and reflects it, and I hear Soundwave go, "Oh!" He modulated.
He did. He did. That was great.
And then see, Starscream says something to him, and Gear says, "No problem, Starscream. I love being a slave."
Loves it. Love it.
So
Like, give me some work, boss.
I
Like,
love being a slave.
oh man. Somewhere about this point, Cliffjumper jumps off of a cliff. Some retribution from the last episode.
Yeah, he's like, "No, guys, I can do this. Watch, really."
Yeah.
Is that where he flies into the beam?
He did fly into the he did fly
Yeah,
into the
he
beam.
just
Yeah.
jumps and like flies in the middle of this beam and like flies off in the jungle somewhere. Like we come back to him a few minutes later, he's like, "Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing here?" That was I thought it was gonna be a plot point. Nah, he just remembers like as soon as someone sees him. I think Wheeljack sees him and says, "Hey, Cliff Jumper," and everything's cool again. Wasted opportunity, I think.
So there's a lot of weird shots and strangely animated shots around here where the camera was like up like at like treetop level and it was shooting down, and so you were seeing like Autobots running through the jungle, like, but you were seeing like their like over their shoulder view, like you were seeing like their backs or whatever, and they did this shot probably 5 times in a row. It was real weird, and then they just spliced in some dialogue here, like they're just like, hey, come on, let's go, and somebody goes, let's get it on, like it, like the Marines
WWE.
from StarCraft for a second.
Dude, okay, so there's something I gotta say though. The animation of this episode is really spotty. Like there's one point that Ironhide looked like Liefeld actually drew his chest.
He
Like, it
did.
was like huge. He's like walking around this huge like canopy chest. He can't really walk around. Like, dude, it looks like Captain America and Liefeld comics. So yeah,
He's an easy one to get like that though, man. He's kind of, you got that kind of awkward chest anyway.
he
So I mean,
does, but it got worse. It got
yeah.
really bad. There's a thing where I guess Gears is walking towards his Betamax tape, and Starscream jumps down. And hits Thundercracker's voice comes out of his mouth. It's just all kind of confusion, It was like I look like no wait, they miscolor him, but the next scene is actually Starscream, so
Right.
whatever. There's a fight ensues, like we were talking about, like over the shoulder stuff. Ratchet does a flying kick, which is great. You never see him do anything like that.
There was a nice flying
He
sidekick.
is great.
That Megatron hit a press slam
Yes, he
here.
did. Oh.
Yeah, that was really cool. Optimus Prime takes another. He gets shot like again, and he's crying again, like when I was talking about him doing like the Onita thing, like the heroic bloodshed thing. He's doing this again, like no, he's doing this.
There's this great line for Ironhide. They like listen to Gears. They didn't realize what was happening to Gears yet. He goes, "What did you do to Gears? You made him nice." Like it's a problem.
Yeah, like it was like,
How
wait
dare we like him being a curmudgeon old jerk.
Oh man. Megatron or Optimus Prime calls Megatron out and tells him he's gonna blow the sun up and destroy the universe. Somehow destroying the sun's gonna destroy the entire universe somehow. It's just like I think we're not quite on that scale yet.
Yeah, it's a little hyperbolic there.
Just a bit.
Optimus.
Just a bit. But so Megatron calls Optimus Prime science fairy tales. So he's back. He's back out of my good graces. He's back to being anti-science, and he's back. He's not forward thinking anymore.
No, he's I told you, man, he's a little too aggressive this time.
He's off the green agenda. I don't like it. He's
as a natural science major, I'm not in Megatron's camp anymore. I still will be there with Soundwave. He's doing what he's supposed to. He's a jobber. He does exactly what he's supposed to. He knows how to do it. Thundercracker gets the hell out of there. He's like, done. See ya. He just flies off. So the sun will explode in less than a minute unless they turn the machine off. Now, I don't know if he's got like an internal clock going on, but apparently if you turn the machine off, everything's fine again.
Just like you turn it on, yeah, as long as you
It's just
deactivate it within the time limit,
flip the
like
switch.
yeah. Yeah, so like they're gonna execute Optimus Prime here. So he's basically like Aslan now from Chronicles of Narnia. Like he's like he's all about trying to be Jesus, I guess, is the
The
thing.
Jesus
So
allegory. Oh, I don't know. He's kind of the old guy. Maybe he's the Abraham or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But so they're like, which one do we pull? I think it was like Wheeljack and like Ratchet are trying to like decide which wire to pull. And like they after Optimus Prime gets him out of there and says, all right, let's hope this is the right one, and pulls one of the wires, which apparently sends all the energy back to the sun. Thank goodness that they know how this science works.
Yeah. So right before that, though, there was during the battle, Gears, I guess, broke the conditioning. He pulled like a Dr. Yui from Dune and broke the conditioning and went back over to the Autobot side. And but they're all excited. They're all like, "Oh, the tide's turned now. We got Gears back." What difference does he make? He doesn't do anything.
he's gonna get grumpy. They're so excited he's not nice anymore.
They already outnumbered the Decepticons like 2-1 almost, and they're like, we got our one dude back that doesn't do anything and has zero special abilities, and like we got him back. Yay, the tide's turned. Yeah.
You know what? But they destroy the beam and the sun stabilizes immediately. What, I don't know how that works. But
I don't understand also how that, like, so they're overloading the sun, right? And so the sun's gonna explode, but the earth is falling apart. Why is the earth falling apart?
Solar flares, man. We don't know how that stuff works. Solar flares. How that stuff work? It's like magnets.
Man.
Yeah, so whatever. I guess they can't use their cell phones they don't have yet. So that's a bummer. Maybe solar flares messes with the Transformers. I don't know. But
yeah, maybe it does. I don't know.
Yeah,
so the thing with the wire, though, the thing with you pulling the right wire, that's a real 80s trope. That's like everybody had every cop movie, every action movie had that. But what it reminded me of was movie Space Camp. Remember Space Camp?
Oh God, I haven't watched that one in years either.
Wasn't that like Tom Skerritt's in that?
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. And I think Kate Capshaw was I think it was Kate Capshaw. But yeah, that was the whole big thing with that, where like they were trying to figure out which hose to hook the oxygen tank into. So one would have let them breathe, and one would have let them would have blown up the entire space shuttle. There's never like, well, cut the wrong one and nothing happens. It's always like, if you cut the wrong one, then we all die. Those are the stakes every time.
Don't cut the ground. You might ignite a spark, and the whole thing blows up. Yeah, I mean, he just did a 50-50 chance. Like, well, if I get this wrong, we all die. So let's hope I do the right thing.
You got to do something.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I'll take a good plan now over the best plan next week.
Well, you don't have next week. You have 1 minute.
Right. Exactly.
1 minute. And they took the entire minute. They're waiting. They're like, it's like an action movie where you see the countdown. And he's like, it's like getting a millisecond. So he goes, okay, that one.
Yeah, you gotta milk it. You gotta milk all the suspense out of there. That was it.
Yeah, he gets his Atari cartridge. Well, he gets his Betamax back. Wilford Brimley's back.
Wilford Brimley bot,
and he's turned into Eeyore now. So there's that. I mean, that's what you got. But yeah. So, anyways, whatever. It happened. It was an episode.
It was an episode. You know what though? Man, so kid brain in this, like, if I had seen this episode when I should have watched this episode, and not as a grown man, that would rather, honestly, I would rather have probably been out like mowing my grass instead of watching this today. But were I a child watching this when it came out, when this was the predominant form of entertainment for children, I probably would have really liked this episode a whole lot. And the reason why is because, like, they did not waste time on anything in this. They literally just like, it's like 2 words, a bunch of fights, 2 words, a bunch of fights, 2 words, stuff's blowing up, the whole world's in danger, we gotta save them, and it's like, no, there's zero wasted time. This is like a Ramones song. This is just like man, we're not gonna have solos, we're not gonna have intros, we're not like
have Joey count off.
We got 3 notes, and that's all we've got. That's all we need in this.
One,
in this
two,
is 3
three,
notes.
4. It goes.
Yeah, and it's right, and like we're just gonna sing this. This song's just gonna be about what's this? What are we singing about this time? I don't know. Driving a car. All right, cool. This song's about driving a car. My kid brain would probably have to go like, I mean, I don't know, man. I'd probably have to go like 3.5, like jobbers out of 5. I'd have to go 3.5 Barry Horowitzes out of 5. 3.5 Iron Mike Sharps out of 5.
But talking about the adult brain though,
my adult brain, on the other hand, just didn't care about this at all. There's really nothing I mean, it was, I don't know, man, it was kind of fun. It wasn't as, what was that terrible episode like 2 weeks ago?
Oh god,
the one that I was just like, it was like the most low energy one of all time, and I hated it.
That says a lot of
Traitor.
Oh, Traitor, yeah.
Traitor. That to me is like the absolute like low point of the whole series so far. Where it was just like I didn't care about anything. Nothing happened. But I don't think this was as bad as that one. But because it was just like, but it was a whole lot of just like nothing. And I mean, it wasn't. I don't know. Like we had fun talking about it. There was some tangents we went on, but I mean, I don't know, man. I'd have to give it 1 geographic center of the United States. One Stull, Kansas. Out of 5.
That's 165 people there, 67 people.
Well, that was Lebanon, but I just really wanted to reference Stull again because
center of satanic activity in Kansas.
1 weird town with a gate to hell out of 5.
Oh, gate to hell.
Yeah.
Look, dude, I'll be honest with you. There's some episodes in season 2 that are just awful and forgettable, and this is one of those for me. I luckily, as an adult now instead of a kid, I can laugh at some of the stuff. And man, I laughed at Gears every time he opened his mouth. I was laughing. That was the only redeemable thing about this. And there were just terrible plot points. Starscream's an idiot. They shoot like stormtroopers, so they have to do flying kicks and suplexes. I mean, that's how this episode went. And there's such bad science. I know it's a cartoon in the 80s. There's gonna be bad science, but the science is really bad in this. They flipped the switch off and saved the sun, apparently. So that's how this whole episode went. I mean, I'm gonna give this 1 BetaMax out of 5 because it was terrible. Yeah, and like it should go extinct like the Betamax itself, because this is a terrible episode. Like the only thing that saved it was Gears being a curmudgeon or weirdly happy guy, happy with like a weird, like, I don't know, submissive like tone to it. It was just creepy.
It was like a Stepford wife.
It really
was. Like he was a Stepford.
I love when you beat me, Megatron. Please do it again.
I love being a slave.
God. So yeah, man, it was terrible. I'm glad to move past this. We're about to hit some really bad episodes, man. I'm telling you, it's a low point in the season. There's some fun points this season and some bad points.
Like when you say bad though, do you mean bad like this is just a train wreck and we're gonna have fun talking about it, or is it gonna be like Traitor, where it's just gonna be like, oh man, like,
yeah, I mean there's we're gonna get some of those more ACOM, like, oh god, God, I'm trying to think of some of the episodes coming up here. Like, I think we have a prime problem coming up soon, which is gonna be bad. I'm trying to think of the episodes I was looking at earlier. There's some bad ones that are gonna come up soon, and we're gonna be going, oh my god, really? That's I mean, like say like, oh yeah, Atlantis Arise, Attack of the Autobots. Oh god. Yeah, it's gonna get bad. There's gonna be some fun ones too, and you can see how these are gonna be out of order. Auto Berserk is gonna be, that's episode 17. City
sounds
of
like
Steel.
fun though. Anything with Atlantis sounds really fun too. I'm really
Atlantis
really
Arise, yeah.
so,
I'm
oh,
glad.
oh, you know something we forgot to talk about at the top of the show though was this one was written by Larry Parr, who this was I think he's a one and done Transformers writer. I think this is his only credit. But he also from what I can tell, unless I'm getting him conflated with another Larry Parr, he's from like New Zealand or something, and does a lot of stuff with like indigenous people down there, which is pretty cool. But he also wrote some episodes of Defenders of the Earth. My main man, Heathcliff, eating fish skeletons off of trash can lids, which, you know, I'm a sucker for that. And a show we never talked about, but a show that I had forgotten about, but I loved when I was a kid, Plastic Man. You ever watch Plastic Man?
All the time. I love that show when I was
Plastic
little.
Man.
Man, it was weird. I know that Plastic Man lived on in comics, and I never got over the weird 80s, well, 70s, 80s costume, the big, you know, goggle sunglasses, like the underoos, and it was just this weirdest costume for that character, but that's what he wore all the time. But it was a lot of fun, that show. I mean, it was, I identified more with Plastic Man than I did Reed Richards. I
Oh,
mean,
he's way cooler. He's way cooler than Reed Richards,
oh yeah,
man.
he's goofy,
Yeah.
which is
And
fun.
you know what's funny about that though is I am 99% sure that Plastic Man actually predates the 70s. I think he is an old character, and that just kind of was one of those guys that just kind of like, you know, like was around, and every now and then somebody be like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna do some Plastic Man, or let's do Plastic Man to keep the trademark on him. And
Yeah, I liked a lot of those old superheroes like Animal Man, Plastic Man, you know, those kinds of guys who were just like random. We're gonna take a property, put it with man. We're gonna do, like, you know, it was very simplistic, and a lot of the times those characters are a lot of fun.
that's very DC. That's a very DC Comics thing. Is I'm
Very
something
DC
man.
comic.
Like,
Yeah.
did you ever read the Grant Morrison Animal Man run?
A little bit of it. I've got some collective stuff and like a little like a trade paperback.
Mm.
Good stuff. It
Very
was
good. Yeah, very good
fun.
stuff. Yeah, Brian Boland covers on that too.
Was that?
Brian Boland did the covers. He was the original artist on Judge Dredd back in the day, and he
okay,
did
yeah.
he's a really fantastic comic artist that works so slow that he can't do anything on a regular basis. So basically he does covers and like one shots, but he did Batman the Killing Joke, which is like pretty much the best Batman comic. If you're gonna read one Batman comic, just read Killing Joke, because it's the
100%.
best. So oh yeah.
That's
But
cool.
I've rambled on way too long about all kinds of random stuff this time, and I
cool.
apologize.
That's why we have a podcast, so we can people listen to us ramble. But yeah, speaking of that, I mean, I want to wrap up saying once again, thank you everyone for being here. If you want to join the small but growing community, check out the link in the Discord in the show notes for the in your podcast app. If you can't for some reason find the Discord link, email me. We'll get the emails in a second here. If you give us like a nice star rating on your podcast app, or if you watch on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, you know, share the stuff with your friends. That's how a lot of people are finding it, is they're sharing it, or they're finding it through searches, because people are giving it favorable ratings in the podcast and YouTubes. Yeah, if you want to send us an email, send an email to morethanmeetstheseguys@gmail.com, or Edhatestransformers@gmail.com as well. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thanks everyone for being here, and we are gonna turn right along, and man, let's get on that Masmashiro subdivision episode soon.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely do that. So
all right, y'all, take it easy. You want to take us out with anything?
Satan's Camaro in my yard, it's stalking me.
Okay, well, we already went over that in that movie.
Oh, maybe they were installed
next to the gates of hell.
Maybe they were installed.
Take it easy, everyone. I'll see you.
Roll out.
I'll see ya.